I think that it was important for the ones that were in Belem to know what's Amazon, to know the richness not only from the forest, but the richness of the culture, of the biodiversity, the different ways that the different communities live and related to the nature and all the richness of this biome.
Hello, I'm Lane Hartzell with the Korea IT Times, and I'm here with Elisabetta Recine, who's a professor at the University of Brasilia. She coordinates the Observatory for Food and Nutrition Security Policies, and we're going to talk about the COP30 that just happened in Belem, Brasilia. Good morning. How are you? Good morning from Asia.
Hi, Lainey. How everybody? Hi. Thank you
Uh,
for the invitation to have me here.
Elisabetta, first of all, let me ask about your background because people will want to know about the person. And then I want to talk about COP30 because this is really important. It was in Belem in the Amazon rainforest. So first of all, a little bit about your background, how you got involved with food policy.
Okay, so I am a public health professional. I am a nutritionist. And here in Brazil, this professional is we have a very broad background about different aspects of food and nutrition. So with this background, I could work in clinical, for example, in hospitals, but also to produce meals, etc. But since the beginning, I was interested to eradicate hunger in the world. That was my main goal. It's really interesting because when I was thinking about what kind of university I will run, I was reading something about one of the millions and thousands crisis that the world was running about uh, the number of people that are in famine and hunger.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really terrible that people didn't have enough food and health food. So I decided that I would like to work on this. So I decided for this graduation. And after this, I had the opportunity to came to Brasilia, that's the capital of Brazil, and to work in working group that was analyzing our public policies to eradicate hunger. And as I was in the University of Brasilia, not at that time, not as a professor, or I have no formal link with the university. I was just part of I study group. And as I was at the capital of my country, I had the opportunity to start to work with people that was planning and implementing public policies. So I start to have this idea how amazing, how difficult, but how wonderful is this opportunity to try to make ideas reality. So this is my history. First of all, I had the opportunity to work with people from Ministry of Health
Mhm.
and nutrition policies in primary health care, etc. But after that, mainly in 2003, when it was the first mandate of President Lula, when he announced that his first and main priority was to everybody in Brazil has the opportunity to have 3 meals every day. And he launched the Zero Hunger strategy. I was connected with people from the Ministry of Social Development, who was responsible for this strategy. And after this, I had the opportunity to be connected with the planning and implementation and evaluation of what we call here in Brazil food and nutrition security policies. That was related not only with communitary restaurants, food baskets, but also the huge program that we have of cash transfer that we call Bolsa Familia, that was responsible to raise the capacity of millions of families here in Brazil to access the minimum quality of life. And well, this is my story. And also, um, when the president launched the Zero Hunger strategy, it was not a bureaucratic plan. It was a plan that was discussed and proposed by a very huge community of civil society organizations and social movements. So when he started to implement this strategy, he also established what we call now the National Council of Food and Nutritional Security. This is a council that was based on the Presidency of the Republic, and is a formal space, a formal institution that connects different sectors of the government with different sectors of civil society organizations. So we have the opportunity to have this dialogue between government and civil society organizations to define priorities, to define policies, to make agreements, and to decide what needs to be done. And now I am president of this council. The council is always, the president is always from civil society. So the civil society organizations indicate my name, and I am president. So we have this way to define our public policies here in Brazil. It's really interesting because it happens not only with this kind of this agenda, food and nutritional security, but we have also this, for example, in our national system of health and social assistance. So it's a way that I think it's another way to establish the governance of the agenda. And this is, in my opinion, and not only my personal opinion, but we have a lot of evaluation on this kind of opportunity to have a more democratic governance of public policy, especially in social area, is responsible for very good results that we reach.
Let me ask you about this kind of distributed aspect that people have, because I think in probably the United States, people don't realize how democratic a lot of Latin America is. In fact, including Venezuela with the commune system, where you have like what you're, and we'll focus on Brazil, but there's the you described this kind of community level structure for food democracy that then tells the government what to do. And then, of course, you're head of this council. I think that this is something that people don't realize about how policy can actually work. And I think
Yeah.
can be implemented, of course, everywhere that people eat, right? Where food is
Yes.
necessary. Okay, so COP30. Okay, so the COP30 just recently was in Belem in the Amazon, but recently before that was in Dubai. That was attended by mostly oil executives, and then there was the UN maybe on the side. Why is Belem so significant this year?
Well, I think that the first thing about COP30 in Belém is that we really invest a lot of efforts, not only to organize the event, the formal event, but also to have the opportunity to have what we call the People's Summit. The People's Summit happened 10 or at least 10 days before the launch of COP30. And we had a variety of discussions and also a variety of people from different countries, but different segments of society. We have in COP30, they said that it was the first COP that the representation of indigenous peoples, for example, was really, really significant. So not only, this is important, not only from Brazil, that we have different people, indigenous people from different parts of the country with different necessities and perspectives, but it's also important for all the world because the way that they live and all the knowledge, all the heritage that they can connect with us, to learn, to teach us what to do to preserve and to recover our biodiversity, our capacity to have a relationship with nature that can be positive and not destroy our planet, not only our planet, our humankind. So the People's Summit was really, 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 really important because they have a manifest at the end where they pointed the very priorities to not only to mitigate but actions to adaptation of climate crisis. And they delivered this letter to the president of COP and also to the president of the Republic. And I think that it's not only my evaluation. We have a lot of meetings after COP with different representations, and all the people said that, of course, the formal negotiations are not easy. It's so difficult to reach consensus among all the countries with the key aspects of climate crisis. But in some way, we have the idea that we are building an atmosphere for the next COPs that some points will be discussed in another level. For example, the transition of food systems. The transition of food systems are not in the formal official negotiations, but we have hundreds. I think that not only in People's Summit, but in the green zone and the blue zone, we have a lot of activities, not only running by civil society organizations or foundations, but also by countries, discussing what we need to do to guarantee that we have a just transition for food systems. So I think that we need to have some historical perspective in this kind of process, and to trust that, of course, it's difficult. Of course, we have very, very, very important challenges, but it's a way to have something that we can trust. If we have different sectors of the societies, different countries discussing some aspects and try to have common principles, we have a chance to have good decisions in the next future. So, for example, the decision of the president of COP presidency to have a roadmap to deal with fuels I think that we didn't reach this decision on the official discussions, but Brazil took the responsibility to propose this. We can have this kind of initiative in other aspects, for example, for just transition of food systems. So, and also, I think that it was important for the ones that were in Belem to know what's Amazon, to know the richness not only from the forest, but the richness of the culture, of the biodiversity, the different ways that the different communities live and related to the nature and all the richness of this biome.
Mhm. And then the Amazon is very important. I mean, it's a massive forest, produces oxygen, obviously takes in CO2. There is concern that the kind of balance has shifted, and it might even be producing CO2 now more than oxygen. Can you just talk a little bit about that so people kind of can get an orientation about this?
Yeah, I think ask some point before that. I think that we need to also pay attention in other biomes that we have not only in Brazil but in Latin America and other regions of the world.
Mhm.
And because of course Amazon and it's important not only for Latin America but for the world, and we need to raise our awareness about what we need to the responsibility to preserve Amazon is not only for the Brazilian people or for the Latin American people that are related to this region. The pressure to have economic activities that are not useful for preserve or protect the biome is important. So things like cattle, but not only cattle, mining, we need to pay attention on this. We have now the Amazon Fund. There are some projects to recover and protect not only the forest itself, but the communities that live in these different parts of the region. So I think that we need to know more about this kind of projects and activities because they are all the time trying to protect and to recover. And also, we need to protect our indigenous peoples that live in Amazon because they are responsible for the preservation and they are responsible for the forest that we have now. They are all the time like gardening our forest for centuries. So this is the point. There are some parts of the Amazon that are really in dangers because of not not control mining mainly and cattle. So we need to be really aware about this.
Right. Original humanity wasn't really a caveman. It was forest, right? People
Yes.
lived on the edges of the forest and there was abundance and this kind of thing. Um, it's interesting that, and sometimes I talk about like state and federal control, governance balance, and since we were talking before the segment here, the series, that that your work in the public sector has really been in this kind of idea of trying to put ideas into practice by influencing the governance system. What kind of difficulties are you running into, and what kind of difficulties from the outcome of COP30? What was achieved? What would you have liked to have seen better, and so forth?
It's not easy to answer this. I think
I know
that
it's difficult.
thinking about the agenda that I am related to, that is food and nutritional security and the transition of food systems, I think that the main challenge is all the process of the discussion process of copy not only COP30, but all COPs and process like this one, they don't think in a systemic way. They just thinking in very specific aspects. So they don't thinking about food systems. They think about agriculture, or they thinking about health, or they think about another aspect. So it's very difficult to introduce a systemic approach. So I think this is our challenges. It's not enough, it's not sufficient to thinking about just one aspect, because if you think about food or about nutrition or about environment, uh, we need a systemic approach. I think this is the challenge. And this was a point really interesting, because all the activities that I already mentioned that will happen in Blue Zone, in Green Zone, in the People Summit, they are trying to announce this. It's not enough to think about a subject. We need to think in a systemic way, and not only think, but we need to act in a systemic way.
Well, I've been speaking with Elisabetta Recine, professor at University of Brazil in Brasilia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lainey, and I hope that I could contribute to this subject and the people that are watching this. Thank you so much for inviting me.